Seattle's October drizzle painted the city in melancholy shades. I once cherished its somber atmosphere, how it enveloped my world in a gentle, misty embrace. That was before a revelation as murky as those rain clouds devoured my marriage entirely. Everything changed when a wrinkled receipt tumbled from my wife's jacket pocket, an insignificant scrap of paper that held the power to destroy everything I held dear. Before we delve into this story of betrayal, I'd love to know where you're reading from. Share your location in the comments below. And if you find yourself drawn into this narrative, don't forget to subscribe to join our growing community. I'm Caleb Warwick, a 38-year-old tech entrepreneur running Warwick Solutions, a boutique startup in Seattle. We specialize in security applications, developing software that safeguards sensitive information. My workspace occupies a modern downtown high-rise, surrounded by glass and steel, featuring a comfortable nook where I spend countless nights coding and sipping coffee. My career grounds me, gives me purpose. It's reliable, consistent, just as I believe my personal life to be. Then there's Marissa, my partner of 15 years. At 37, she manages sales for an exclusive wine distributor headquartered in Portland, roughly 3 hours down the coast. Her charisma and perfect smile make her a natural at wooing clients, keeping her constantly on the road. Her frequent absences never bothered me. I saw them as stepping stones to her career success. Completing our family is Jasper, our 17-year-old high school senior, introspective yet perceptive, often catching details that escape my notice. Our home, a well-maintained suburban residence just beyond city limits, was once filled with joy and connection. That rainy morning, while loading the washing machine, droplets drummed against the window panes. Marissa had returned late the previous night, her luggage still untouched near the entrance. As I shook out her coat, it appeared a receipt from an upscale San Francisco establishment, dated the previous Thursday. The restaurant's name, Atelier Cren, caught my attention first. The bill was substantial, clearly for 2 people, exceeding $200. My heart sank. She claimed to be attending a trade show in Portland all week. San Francisco lies 6 hours from Portland, hardly a casual side trip. I phoned her immediately, maintaining composure despite my tension. She answered after 3 rings, sounding preoccupied. Her explanation suggested a colleague had accidentally left the receipt in her coat. Her chuckle seemed forced, unnaturally cheerful. I wanted desperately to accept her words, so I didn't press further. Yet the doubt lingered, like a persistent shadow I couldn't shake. Later that evening, Jasper drifted into the kitchen while I prepared dinner. He positioned himself against the countertop, fidgeting with a loose thread on his shirt sleeve. He casually mentioned how Mom's calls had become infrequent lately, noting something seemed amiss during their conversations. His observation struck a nerve, resonating deeper than it should have. I dismissed his concerns, attributing it to her busy schedule. Though he nodded in agreement, his lingering gaze suggested he harbored unspoken suspicions. Sleep eluded me that night. My mind raced with thoughts of Marissa's increasingly late returns, her stream of weary explanations mounting up. The way she deliberately avoided eye contact, her phone constantly buzzing at unusual hours. Then there were those bank statements I'd glimpsed the previous week. The withdrawals started small before escalating, all conveniently explained away as business expenses and travel costs. I'd never questioned her integrity, but that receipt perched on the counter felt like an impending explosion, and I couldn't shake the growing certainty that my carefully constructed world was about to shatter. A fortnight dragged by, each passing day weighing heavier than its predecessor. That San Francisco receipt haunted my thoughts, its edges wearing thin as I obsessively examined it night after night. I kept it tucked away in my desk drawer, a silent testament to my growing suspicions. My life, once flowing smoothly like well-written code, now resembled a program spiraling into chaos, and I desperately needed clarity. The bank account became my starting point. One night, after Jasper had retired to bed, I accessed our shared online banking portal. The laptop screen illuminated the darkened office, casting eerie shadows across the walls. I meticulously reviewed months of transactions, my heart racing with each entry. Initial withdrawals seemed modest, $50 here, $100 there, all categorized as business expenses. Then the amounts escalated dramatically. A $2,000 airline ticket to San Francisco from 3 months ago. A $5,000 charge at the Fairmont, an upscale hotel. Most alarming were multiple wire transfers of $10,000 each, vaguely labeled as miscellaneous, totaling over $150,000 within 4 months. My trembling hands printed the statements, the printer's quiet hum piercing the silence. Marissa had deflected every financial inquiry with a smile, citing client entertainment and travel expenses. I'd accepted her explanations without question. Until now. The following morning, I confronted Tess at the office. She was immersed in her work, her fingers dancing across the keyboard as she debugged a new application feature. I paused momentarily, feeling the gravity of my impending request. Her dark eyes narrowed when she noticed my troubled expression. I revealed everything about the receipt, the suspicious bank statements, and the mounting deceptions. Then, I made an unprecedented request to infiltrate Marissa's work email. Tessa reclined in her chair, which creaked under her movement, her face reflecting inner conflict. She emphasized the ethical implications of such an action. However, after considerable deliberation, she agreed, her sense of loyalty ultimately overriding her reservations. By midday, she had succeeded. We sequestered ourselves in a secluded conference room, with blinds drawn for privacy. On her laptop screen, she revealed a folder of emails, each message intensifying my growing dread. Marissa had been corresponding with Victor Grayson, an influential CEO of a wine enterprise called Grayson Vineyards in Napa Valley. The exchanges began professionally, but gradually evolved into something more intimate. One message from the previous month stated, "Meet me in SF this weekend, darling." A recent one read, "Everything's set for the next step. Can't wait to see you." My heart constricted as I continued reading. A particular message caught my attention. "Funds are in place. We'll finalize in Napa soon." Funds. My funds. Evidently siphoned from our account to finance their clandestine operations. I needed additional confirmation. That evening, I had a conversation with Jasper in our living room. A forgotten sitcom played in the background, casting flickering shadows. I expressed concern about his mother's whereabouts during her trips, seeking his cooperation. He fidgeted uncomfortably, his fingers drumming against the couch armrest. Eventually, he consented to having a tracking application installed on his phone for safety purposes. The following day, Marissa announced plans to take him to a friend's residence in Tacoma for the weekend. I monitored the tracking app's movement. The signal lingered in Tacoma briefly before redirecting to Seattle-Tacoma Airport. A quick verification confirmed my suspicions. They had boarded a flight to San Francisco. Tacoma was merely a fabrication, a smokescreen. I remained alone in the darkness, surrounded by unsettling silence. Outside, the intensifying rain pounded against the roof rhythmically. This wasn't merely about an affair. Marissa was orchestrating something more significant, something covert, involving my finances and ensnaring our son in the process. The fragments were scattered and painful, but they were gradually coalescing into a pattern that sent shivers down my spine. Winter descended upon Seattle with a merciless grip. The sleet hammered against the window panes, its persistent rhythm echoing through the house. I had devoted countless hours unraveling Marissa's web of deception, each financial record and email thread cutting deeper into my psyche. Client messages flooded my inbox, demanding attention I couldn't muster. Rest eluded me, replaced by an oppressive anxiety that clung like Seattle's perpetual mist. Then came the illness. It began subtly and persistent chill I couldn't dispel. By sunset, my body blazed with fever, perspiration drenching my clothes. Dragging myself to the bathroom, I watched the thermometer climb to 103. Every heartbeat thundered in my skull. Breathing became a laborious task. The house felt particularly desolate with Jasper away at his debate competition in Tacoma, its emptiness amplifying my isolation. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone, my vision swimming as I contacted Marissa. She answered on the fifth ring, her tone detached and businesslike. She claimed to be caught up in Portland meetings, unmovable. I pleaded for her return, my speech becoming increasingly incoherent as I described my symptoms. Her response was a sharp exhale, followed by a dismissive suggestion to call a taxi. The connection terminated before I could protest. Desperate, I tried reaching Jasper. His voicemail greeting, usually a source of comfort, now felt like a cruel reminder of my solitude. I collapsed onto the kitchen floor, the cold tiles offering little relief from my burning flesh. Time became fluid, consciousness wavering as hours melted together. My phone slipped from my grasp, skittering across the floor. As darkness encroached, a distant sound penetrated my haze. Owen Pierce, my firefighter neighbor, had investigated a suspicious noise, likely the chair I toppled in my delirium. He discovered me. There, barely responsive, my heartbeat faint and irregular. Without hesitation, he transported me to his vehicle. The harsh hospital lighting assaulted my senses as medical staff rushed me inside, their urgent commands competing with a mechanical symphony of medical equipment. The diagnosis was severe pneumonia. The doctors later revealed that another hour's delay could have proved fatal. I regained consciousness the following day, connected to an IV drip in a stark hospital room. Though the fever had subsided, a profound emptiness persisted, more devastating than any physical ailment. Owen maintained his vigil beside the bed, concern etched deeply across his features. He passed me my phone, mentioning he'd kept it charged throughout the night. With shaking hands, I unlocked it, desperately seeking any indication that Marissa had shown concern. The screen revealed nothing but an Instagram notification. Jasper had made a post. When I opened it, my world crumbled. There was my son, beaming beneath a radiant Napa Valley sunset. Marissa stood next to him, embracing a tall, well-groomed man with an arrogant expression, Victor Grayson. A wine bottle sparkled on their table, accompanied by a caption brimming with happiness. "Best getaway ever," it proclaimed. My breath caught painfully in my throat. They weren't in Portland or Tacoma as claimed. They were savoring wine in Napa while I lay unconscious on our kitchen floor. The phone slipped from my grasp, landing silently on the hospital blanket. Owen retrieved it, his eyes widening at the image displayed. Words failed me completely. The betrayal settled deep within, cold and absolute, shattering the final remnant of faith I'd desperately preserved. Marissa hadn't merely deceived me. She deserted me, leaving me to suffer while she constructed her new existence using my wealth, with my son by her side. My vision blurred again, not from illness this time, but from an anger so profound it surpassed any fever's heat. The hospital chamber reeked of disinfectant and bitter realizations. I remained motionless, the IV's steady rhythm marking time, that Napa Valley photograph branded into my thoughts. My temperature had normalized, but an icier flame now burned within. Marissa and Victor hadn't simply betrayed my trust. They'd abandoned me to potential death while they indulged in wine tastings. This understanding triggered something fundamental. The time for patience and optimism had ended. I would systematically expose their deceptions, ensuring they experienced every moment of their downfall. Owen remained nearby, his substantial frame compressed into a window-side chair. He offered silent support as I stared upward, lost in contemplation. Tessa arrived that afternoon, laptop in hand, having learned of my collapse from Owen. I revealed everything. The emails, the financial dealings, the mocking Instagram post during my near-death experience. Tessa's grip tightened on her bag, her expression hardening. Owen's knuckles cracked ominously. Their commitment was immediate and unwavering. We began with the email trail. Tessa opened her laptop, its screen casting a soft glow in the dimly lit room. She continued investigating after our previous discussion, uncovering leads I'd overlooked. Deep within Marissa's server trash, she discovered and restored a deleted email chain with practiced efficiency. The messages revealed their scheme in explicit detail. Victor had introduced Grayson Estates, an upscale vineyard and real estate development in Napa Valley. Marissa wasn't just his romantic interest. She was his business partner. They'd channel my $150,000 through various shell companies to conceal their activities. One message sent chills down my spine. Victor wrote, "Once everything's in place, he becomes irrelevant." I was the expendable, a mere stepping stone to their lavish plans. We needed concrete evidence. Tessa unearthed more damaging proof. Financial records linked to Grayson Estates confirmed my money served as initial funding. Legal documents bore both Marissa's and Victor's signatures, dated several months prior. Each piece of evidence strengthened our case. Owen pursued a different investigative route. He noticed Marissa's vehicle in the vicinity once since my hospitalization, likely checking my survival status. He discreetly followed her next appearance in his weathered pickup truck. He captured photographs of her meeting Victor at a city center cafe, their heads huddled together over documentation. The grainy prints he provided made my hands tremble as I stored them away. The culminating element came through Harper Quinn. Our paths had crossed briefly at a technology conference years before. She'd built a reputation as a ruthless divorce attorney, notorious for dismantling dishonest testimonies in court. I contacted her from my hospital room, my voice rough but determined. We met the following day in her modest office near Pioneer Square. She studied intently as I presented our findings. Email correspondence, financial documentation, surveillance photos. Reviewing each item, she offered a knowing smile. She confirmed we had an unassailable case for fraud and desertion, then proposed an aggressive strategy: freeze their financial assets, sever their monetary access. I consented. She submitted the legal documents that same day, immobilizing every cent Marissa and Victor believed they controlled. Their return was imminent. Tessa infiltrated Marissa's schedule, discovering a flight reservation from San Francisco to Seattle-Tacoma in 48 hours. They'd arrive expecting business as usual, assuming my money still funded their scheme. Instead, they'd encounter an impenetrable barrier. I imagined Marissa's expression, her confident smile vanishing upon checking her accounts. Victor's desperation when his banking inquiries proved futile. From my hospital bed, I breathed slowly, methodically. Everything was arranged, each move strategically planned. They constructed their dreams atop my destruction. Now I'd reduce it all to rubble, leaving them nowhere to escape. The hospital discharged me after 2 days, my lungs still tender, but my determination unshakable. I drove directly home through Seattle's overcast landscape, the cityscape a muted blur beyond my windshield. During my recovery, Owen had assisted in securing the house. Fresh locks adorned every entrance, rendering the previous keys worthless. Marissa's possessions, her clothing and jewelry, lay packed in boxes within the garage, stacked like artifact from concluded chapter. Though the house's atmosphere felt oppressive, laden with memories, I remained steadfast. Today, they would confront my truth. Tessa's intelligence proved accurate. Their aircraft from San Francisco had touched down at Seattle-Tacoma 60 minutes ago. I positioned myself in the living room, drapes drawn close. A solitary lamp cast subdued illumination across the wooden floor. My phone rested on the coffee table, containing the crucial recording from that feverish evening. Gravel crunched beneath approaching footsteps, followed by the doors rattling. Marissa's voice penetrated the barrier, edged with bewilderment. She instructed Jasper to attempt his key, but it proved futile. I opened the door gradually, maintaining composed features. Marissa halted mid-motion, her luggage wavering. Jasper remained behind her, his backpack hanging low, eyes shifting uncertainly between us. Her smile emerged forced, too fragile to maintain. She entered, brushing past as if normalcy prevailed, commenting on travel fatigue and shower needs. Jasper muttered about unpacking, shuffling toward his bedroom. I halted their progress with one word: wait. They turned, her expression questioning, his posture tense. I retrieved the phone, initiated playback. My recorded voice filled the space, raspy and desperate, begging for assistance amid fever's grip. Marissa's dismissive response followed, her sigh cutting through silence. As the recording concluded, Jasper's expression crumbled, fists clenching. Marissa's attempted response died unspoken. She struggled to defend herself, claiming misunderstanding and overreaction, insisting ignorance of my condition's severity. Her justifications rang empty, a weak defense against reality. I interrupted coldly, stating how I'd nearly perished while she celebrated with Victor in Napa. Jasper's attention snapped to her, his gaze accusatory. I produced Owen's cafe photograph, Marissa and Victor intimate over business documents, my finances funding their plotting. She reached for it, but I withdrew it swiftly. Informed her she'd forfeited that privilege. My phone vibrated, displaying Victor's name. I answered on speaker, his voice thundering with rage. He hurled accusations of sabotage and legal threats. My response was a cold, hollow laugh. I revealed the frozen accounts and mentioned the evidence already dispatched to his bank. I reminded him about Grayson Estates, how it would collapse without my financial backing. His aggressive tone diminished to a desperate growl. I disconnected before he could finish his sentence. Marissa's face drained of color, fear creeping into her features. I issued her a half-hour ultimatum: gather essential belongings and depart. Any delay would result in police involvement. She broke down, tears streaming as she pleaded for mercy, claimed this wasn't the intended outcome. Jasper turned aside, his body trembling with emotion. I gestured toward the timepiece, unmoved by her display. She frantically stuffed items into a bag with shaking fingers. Jasper approached me, his voice quavering as he professed his ignorance of the situation's gravity. I acknowledged him with a tight nod. She stumbled out, the door crashing shut behind her. Silence engulfed the house, punctuated only by Jasper's quiet weeping. My triumph felt hollow, marking merely the beginning of a greater conflict. The door's resonating slam persisted, matching the emptiness within me. Marissa vanished into the Seattle evening, her car's rear lights dissolving in the darkness. Jasper collapsed onto the sofa, concealing his face, crushed by her deception. I remained stationed by the window, observing the freezing rain streak down, my victory tasting of defeat. The battle's aftermath was only beginning to unfold. Information circulated quickly. Harper's call came the following day, her tone businesslike. She confirmed Grayson Estates shut down after the bank examined my submitted evidence. Financial investigators uncovered irregularities, linking my misappropriated funds directly to Victor's financial records. Construction halted, leaving promotional materials abandoned in some Napa office. Investors retreated, alarmed by fraud allegations. Victor's business empire wavered, his reputation becoming a warning across industry publications. I imagined him stalking through his luxurious residence, shouting feudal commands, his arrogant smile erased. Marissa's professional life disintegrated simultaneously. Her employer discovered the scandal, reconstructing her involvement through emails Harper strategically leaked to a contact. Her termination followed swiftly, citing ethical breaches. She received neither severance nor recommendations. Her carefully constructed career, built on networking and charisma, crumbled completely. Owen later glimpsed her vehicle at a budget motel near SeaTac, damaged and neglected, with her diminished figure visible inside. Her rapid descent evoked no sympathy from me, only a lingering sadness for lost possibilities. Jasper approached me that evening, his eyes swollen from crying. He settled at our kitchen table, speaking softly as he revealed everything. He explained how Marissa had poisoned his mind against me, portraying me as emotionally distant, manipulative, and too consumed by work to show genuine care. She convinced him the Napa trip was a well-deserved reward for his academic achievements, a simple getaway she'd planned. He'd accepted her narrative without question until my recording exposed the truth. His apology came wrapped in remorse, his voice breaking as he asked to remain with me. I embraced him, my hand steady on his shoulder, assuring him this would always be his sanctuary. Though the divide between us stung, his truthfulness began mending our relationship, one delicate moment at a time. Victor's retaliation was predictable. Harper informed me of his lawsuit, claiming defamation and business interference through false allegations. The legal documents arrived at her office, a substantial collection of desperate accusations. She chuckled while reviewing them, noting his strategic error. In her downtown office, against the backdrop of a dreary skyline, she outlined our defense strategy, each piece of evidence, emails, photographs, and financial records, forming our arsenal. The court date arrived swiftly. Victor's attorney crumbled under Harper's methodical exposure of his client's fraudulent activities. The judge's decisive ruling dismissed the case entirely. Victor departed in disarray, his suit disheveled, muttering empty threats. Harper remarked confidently that he'd hesitate before challenging us again. Later, in the solitude of my home, accompanied only by Jasper's gentle breathing from upstairs, I contemplated the aftermath. Like ripples in still water, the consequences spread outward. Victor's downfall brought satisfaction. Marissa's destruction felt deserved, but Jasper's suffering clouded any sense of victory. He'd been their unwitting chess piece, now bearing wounds I couldn't heal. I examined the fractures they'd created in my world, acknowledging my triumph in this battle. Yet the victory carried a weight, a persistent shadow. They'd lost their ambitious pursuits, but I'd lost something intangible, leaving pieces that refused to align. Time progressed, 12 months melting into a steady cadence. Winter's scars remained but softened into subtle reminders, lessons embedded in memory. I departed from the previous house, its memories too suffocating, relocating to a modern Bellevue condo east of Seattle. The expansive windows overlooked Lake Washington, its tranquil surface reflecting the serenity I'd fought to reclaim. Warwick Solutions flourished, our software becoming essential in corporate infrastructure along the coast. Clients praised my tenacity, my ability to create impenetrable systems. They remained unaware of the personal journey behind that determination. Jasper found his footing too. After taking a gap year to process everything, he spent countless nights over coffee, grappling with the guilt of Napa. Now he prepared for his next chapter, bags packed for the University of Washington's dorms. His academic focus shifted to psychology, driven by a desire to understand human fragility and resilience. I recognized the determination in his gaze, a deep-seated need to. Then what he'd witnessed break. Our relationship had transformed as well, emerging stronger through its fractures. His presence brightened our home most evenings, his laughter echoing through the condo, a sound whose absence I felt more deeply than realized. Destiny nudged me forward one evening at a black-tie charity gala in downtown Seattle, benefiting the hospital that had saved my life. The ballroom sparkled under chandelier light, casting golden hues across formal attire. While networking with donors, I froze at a familiar face. Dr. Kelsey Monroe, the emergency physician who'd guided me through that critical night of pneumonia, approached with her dark hair elegantly styled and a welcoming smile. Our conversation evolved from my recovery to broader topics. She'd remembered me as the patient who nearly died, expressing genuine interest in my journey. Before the night ended, we exchanged numbers, her infectious laugh accompanying my thoughts on the drive home. We reconnected over coffee at a waterfront cafe the following week, then shared dinner in Bellevue, engaging in witty banter over fresh salmon. She spoke of witnessing humanity at its lowest and admiring those who persevered. I shared fragments of my story, the betrayal, the struggle. Her unwavering attention stirred something dormant, igniting possibilities I hadn't considered in years. Our relationship developed naturally, weaving seamlessly into my life's fabric. Jasper noticed the change, teasing me about my increased smiling. He wasn't mistaken. Marissa's email arrived one rainy afternoon, finding its way to my inbox from her new life in Denver. She described struggling through various jobs, her words heavy with remorse. She acknowledged losing herself with Victor, finally recognizing the pain she'd inflicted on me, Jasper, and herself. She pleaded for an opportunity to explain, to possibly rebuild connections. After reading it twice, my cursor lingered over the reply button. Instead, I archived it without response. She'd chosen her path, and I'd constructed mine, far removed from her influence. True healing didn't require reopening sealed wounds. I gazed from my balcony that evening, watching the lake's obsidian surface ripple below. Inside, remnants of my new life scattered throughout. Kelsey's medical coat draped over the sofa, Jasper's university materials spread across the dining table. The condo pulsed with energy, a stark contrast to the deafening quiet that had engulfed it just 12 months prior. From the ruins left by Marissa and Victor's destruction, I constructed something more resilient. Though not flawless, the foundation held firm. If one looked closely, they might spot the healing fractures, but they now carried their own kind of strength, a testament to future possibilities. The past hadn't defeated me. Instead, it had become my blueprint for building something better, and I wasn't finished yet. The Bellevue evening hummed with festivities as Warwick Solutions celebrated its 10th anniversary in an urban loft overlooking the cityscape. Digital displays showcasing our latest technological innovations lined the exposed brick walls. I observed from the room's heart, champagne in hand, as employees and clients networked beneath ambient lighting. Nearby, Jasper enthusiastically demonstrated code features to a university companion, his growing self-assurance filling me with quiet satisfaction. Kelsey engaged with one of our developers across the room, her presence providing familiar comfort. A decade's worth of achievements surrounded us, though the lessons from recent months cast the most significant shadows. Victor's downfall had solidified earlier that year. His former spouse, an astute businesswoman I'd never encountered, exposed additional misconduct following his failed litigation attempt. She uncovered hidden financial accounts and questionable business practices linked to Grayson Estates, taking legal action that left him destitute. Recent reports placed him in a modest Sacramento apartment, his wine country aspirations buried under mounting debt. Marissa's trajectory proved equally disappointing. Denver had consumed her identity, reducing her to clerical work in a suburban office complex. Jasper ceased communication, stating she'd become unrecognizable. Their mutual destruction felt complete, a calculated consequence I'd initiated. The celebration's atmosphere shifted late in the evening when Jasper urgently grabbed my attention, his expression troubled. He'd received a message from an unfamiliar number. We retreated to a quiet section, the party's ambience growing distant. The screen revealed a photo, Marissa, noticeably gaunt, standing outside our venue. Her message read simple, "Tell him I'm sorry. I need to see him." My heart raced unexpectedly. Scanning the windows, I spotted her outline beneath the street lamp, wrapped tightly in her coat. She remained motionless, observing. Jasper's grip tightened on my arm, as he whispered his desire for her absence. I responded with a single word, "No." Her figure lingered briefly before dissolving into the darkness. I approached the microphone later that evening, the crowd falling silent as I began. Drawing parallels between life and programming, I explained how both sometimes crash, requiring us to debug and rebuild stronger. Through my experience with betrayal, I shared how system failures reveal our true character. I emphasized that while revenge offers no healing, natural consequences serve as powerful teachers. Watching Victor and Marissa face their actions had liberated me to develop a new program, with Jasper and Kelsey as its fundamental components. The audience applauded warmly, their expressions reflecting understanding, and I felt a fraction of my burden dissolve. The story concludes here, dear readers. Did this ending align with your expectations, or did it take you by surprise? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If this narrative resonated with you, consider showing support through likes and subscriptions for future stories. Thank you for joining this journey, and I'll see you in the next tale.